Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back to OC Power Players, where I interview some of the most successful people in Orange County. I'm Danny Flores, your host, and today's honored guest is Danny O'Malley, zooming in from Lake Forest. Danny is the founder and CEO of Before the Butcher, a pioneering plant-based meat company redefining how Americans eat. A former executive at Beyond Meat with over 25 years of experience in the food industry. Danny launched Before the Butcher in 2017 to create a more diverse, accessible, and sustainable lineup of meat alternatives. Under his leadership, the company introduced the first full family plant-based proteins, ranging from burgers and chicken to turkey and sausage, that look, cook, and taste like their animal-based counterparts. Recognized as a thought leader and international speaker on plant-based innovation, Danny has earned widespread acclaim, including multiple Fabby Awards and features in the New York Times, Today, Forbes, and CNN Business. He also broke new ground with mainstream by Before the Butcher, the first plant-based meat priced competitively with traditional meats. With a growing social media following and a deep commitment to sustainability, Danny continues to champion plant-forward lifestyles through production, innovation, advocacy, and storytelling. Welcome, Danny.
Well, thanks, Danny. I don't know what I can add to that. That was fantastic.
Did I say everything?
That sounds great.
Got it covered.
Yeah,
Wow.
love it.
But that is amazing. So tell me how you got started in that and the reason. What was your why?
Well, the why specifically for me in regards to starting Before the Butcher was, I guess, the frustration and kind of forward thinking that I had while I was working for Beyond Meat, which, clearly one of the leaders in the industry even today. 10, 11 years ago when I started working for them, I didn't feel like I had, really wasn't in a position to direct or even be a part of the thought process when it came to what they were making and when they were making it. And I wanted to be. So I thought, well, the best way to do that is to go out and do it myself. And, like most entrepreneurs, when we're getting started, we don't realize what we're getting into, right? We just think we can do it, right? Yeah. I mean, there was no thought process about, hey, what is it going to take to do it? I just thought, look, I know enough about it, and I'm excited about the future for the industry as a whole, and I know I can do something really innovative and unique and special. And so I just went out and did it. And so that really my drive was just, thinking, hey, I want to be fully involved in making and developing and deciding what type of products hit the market. And I couldn't do that while I was working for them. So I went out and did it myself.
Wow, amazing. Now, how does eating your product change people's health? Because that's probably one of the things that you're looking at, right? Why would you change? You still have to have your protein, but you're not eating animal-based protein in a sense. And so what does that look like for somebody who says, hey, you know what, I want to change my diet. I'm going to start eating your product. I'm going to cut out meats and real chicken. And what do they expect to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people, most people today, and because I'm going to back up just a little bit here, Danny, when I started selling these type of products for Beyond Meat back 11 years ago, most of my time was spent educating people and getting them to understand what we were doing, because people didn't get it. It's like, why would you make a product that looks or mimics animal-based proteins when we already have the animal-based protein and you're making it from plants? What I don't get it, right?
Right.
So we spent we spent the greater part of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I would say, before the public really started understanding what we were doing, why we were doing it, and and a lot of people understanding how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I don't have to go out and really explain that so much anymore. What I do is have people try the products that are interested in the products. So our job really is to do our best to mimic an animal-based protein in a way that it's so similar that if you put it in a recipe, you believe you're eating a product that's similar to what you would normally enjoy. So comfort foods is what we try to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not a secret. There's no cholesterol in these products. They're plant-based, and overall, they're healthier than the option when you're looking at an animal-based protein. Certainly healthier for you as well as the planet,
Right.
because we use a lot less resources, and then of course the animals as well. So
Right.
we do our best to create products that are very similar to the animal-based proteins, and most of the products we make are actually ingredient-based products, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
we make
Mm-hmm.
grounds and crumbles and chunks and slices and things like that you would put on something else. We have an incredible pepperoni that is really amazing. But you're not likely to just take the pepperoni and eat it by yourself. You're going to put it on a pizza, right? Or you're going to put it in.
Right. Right.
And the same thing with our crumbles. You're going to make you might make a bolognese, and you put our Italian crumble in a bolognese, and then you put it on your pasta. Maybe that's one of your favorite foods, right? That's your
Right.
comfort
Right.
zone. You love Italian food, and you can eat the same way, in the same manner. And when our crumbles are put inside of a marinara sauce and you make a bolognese, it's virtually indetectable. You just, if I gave it to you and you were a hardcore meat eater and I didn't tell you what you were eating, you would think you were eating meat.
Right. Right. Right.
But it's a healthier option.
Right. Now, how about cooking? How do you cook it? Does it come? Can you have a piece of steak, or is it all kind of ground beef,
Yeah.
or like how does it come, and what options do you have as far as the dishes that you like to have?
Yeah. So the industry is evolving. The hardest thing for us in the alt meat industry, making meats that mimic and are similar to animal-based proteins,
Mm-hmm.
are whole muscle meats. So like a steak, a chicken breast, a fish fillet, like a salmon fillet. Those are the most difficult things to mimic. And the industry is evolving in such a way that there are products now on the market that have gotten really close, and will only
Mm-hmm.
get better as time goes on. The easiest products really to mimic are the grounds and the crumbles and what I call chunks and tips.
Mm-hmm.
The slices are difficult because we have to produce a whole muscle meat type of what we call a chub, and then slice that down. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more challenging as well. But that's basically it. I mean, there's a wide range there. I live, this is my lifestyle. This is who I am. So I try everything out in the market. And quite frankly, some of them are really, really great, and others aren't that great, and usually the ones that aren't that great, just like any other product that's made, whether it's a food product or something else, a widget, if it's not that great, it's probably not going to stick around, right? And
Mm-hmm.
somebody's going to find a way to make it better and get out of the market with something better. So
Right. Now, what kind of plants do you guys use to create these?
yeah, so we use a variety of plants. When we started, and I started the company, we were using a non-GMO soybean, which, by the way, is one of the few complete proteins, which is what our bodies need as human beings. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a few out there, and complete proteins, all the vitamins, minerals, and everything that we need for our body to function properly. Soy, hemp, chia seeds, or quinoa, those are all complete proteins.
Mm-hmm.
So we use a non-GMO soybean. We use pea protein. Our
Mm-hmm.
latest product, which I know you're going to want to talk about because I want to talk about it, is our butcher stick, which is like a traditional meat stick that you'd find in a grocery store. That's made with sunflower protein. So there's some
Oh,
really
okay.
unique plant-based protein. Most people don't realize how much protein is actually in plants. They think they have to eat animal-based, proteins to get the protein they need. Plant-based proteins, even just eating broccoli, you're getting protein. So there are a lot of there is protein in plants, and many of them have a significant amount of protein.
Now, well, because you have gorillas, like 300-pound gorillas that are all
Elephants,
muscle, and all they eat is plants. I
yeah,
mean, so there's no argument there,
yeah.
right? Um, now,
Largest animals on Earth are vegetarians, are plant-based.
right, right,
Giraffes, gorillas, elephants, hippos. Not that hippos wouldn't eat another animal; they would, but generally they're vegetarian. Or rhinoceroses. All the biggest animals on Earth are plant-based.
right, and so they're healthy, right? They probably don't have cancer. They, they have, like, they're like muscular and strong, like, I
Yeah.
don't know, 100 times stronger than us humans, right? So now, if somebody, and I would imagine that you can't just, and maybe I'm wrong, go to Whole Foods or to Trader Joe's or to pavilions and buy this product. Can you do that?
Well, our product is made mostly for food service. So you'd find it in restaurants. Like locally, you could go into Islands Restaurant, and our burger is in there. And there's numerous other restaurants in Southern California. We do make some private label products for Whole Foods. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, I say, look, we work what I call industrial business as well. So if you go in and you find a pizza on the shelf that's plant-based, there's a good chance that's our, plant-based meats on that pizza. So we do quite a bit of collaboration with others without displaying our name on
Right.
their products. So yeah, I tell people all the time, there's a good chance if you go into a grocery store and you pick up a burrito or you pick up a pizza or an empanada, that may be our product in there.
Right. Now, is it in the horizon for you guys to actually make the product so somebody can buy it and cook at home, make their own dishes at home?
Yeah, we do work with some other players on the market that actually make our products available in that way, and we'll be releasing our product to well, Hungry Root. If you've heard of Hungry Root, they actually make home meals. You can order online; it gets sent to you. They use our products there. You would see our
Okay.
products there.
Okay.
And like I said, if you went into Whole Foods, and tried their chicken bites, you would be buying the product that we made. We are very close to fully releasing our butcher stick onto the
Mm-hmm.
market, and that'll be available, like on Amazon, and then it'll also be available in markets and hopefully convenience stores nationwide
Mm-hmm.
fairly
Mm-hmm.
quickly. By the end of the year, it'll be readily available. It's called the butcher stick. We have pepperoni style and teriyaki style to start with.
Right. Now, one step back, aside from the protein, from what I understand, is that meats, like natural meats, have amino acids that's important to our body and our muscle regenerating.
Yeah.
What does how do you guys address that, or is that part of the supplement that
Yeah,
is?
that's natural inside of soy and some other complete proteins as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then if not, that can be supplemented too. So,
Mm-hmm.
even when you're eating not products like ours, or you're eating vegetarian or vegan, you can add two different products together. Like, rice by itself is not a complete protein with all the things, and neither is beans. But if you have rice and beans together, you've got a complete protein. And
Right.
and so just having an awareness of that while we produce our products, we're producing items that really fulfill the overall needs of a human being while they're eating.
Now, how about cost?
Yeah, so cost is a bit of a challenge. It's funny because people think because we're making our products from plants that they're going to be less expensive. That's not
Right.
really the case, because there is some complexities in making these type of products in the first place. Plus, our industry doesn't get subsidized by the government, and most of the large industry, the dairy industry, the meat industry, pork and chicken industry, all get subsidized by the government to keep the costs down and keep costs consistent in the best way that
Right.
we can. We don't get that. So, or at least not at this point in time. Hopefully in the future, if it continues that way, we'll be able to get some of that as well to keep our prices in line. But we released about a year and a half ago a product called Mainstream. It's our right now we have a burger, and that burger is very competitive cost wise on the
Mm-hmm.
market. You can find that product from time to time in like you'll find it in grocery outlet. Uh,
Right. Right.
and so that product compared to a regular 80/20 beef burger would be right on the same kind of price level. You're
Mm-hmm.
looking around
Mm-hmm.
a dollar or a little over a dollar a burger, somewhere in that price range.
So how hard is it to educate people um, to switch, to make the switch, or maybe not to switch completely 100%. So, but maybe, you know how it is. Sometimes you have like 2 or 3 days a week you're going to
Yeah.
eat plant-based, and then if you want to eat, have a little bit of both.
Yeah, look, people will do that. They'll say, "Hey, look, on Mondays it's going to be my meatless Monday, and I'm not going to eat meat on Mondays, but I still love having, I still want a burger, or still
Right,
want my
right,
pasta," and they can do that with our type of products, or maybe 2 or 3 days a week. Or they could be what we call a flexitarian, which they'll make those choices. They're mostly vegetarian. They'll eat meat from time to time. If they're out with their friends, they don't want to feel restricted. And, if they go to a restaurant that doesn't have very good options, they can eat, an animal-based choice, or
right,
maybe a meat reducer who goes to the doctor, maybe somebody a little bit older like us who goes
right,
to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Hey, look, you're doing okay, but you need to eat a little better, and you need to exercise a little more." And doctor,
right,
oh, I eat it a little better. The first thing that doctor is going to say is, you need to eat more plant-based, right?
right,
Back up
right.
a little bit on your animal-based proteins and eat a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more of the plants. And we can help with that as you go. It's an easier transition if you're interested in becoming vegetarian or even vegan. But most of our customers are not vegetarian or vegan. Most of our customers are meat eaters, and they're just making a conscious choice from time to time to eat our type of products because they're really good. And they'll, you're going to feel better about doing it for various different reasons, including your health.
Right, right. Yeah, so I would imagine, first of all, the flavor has to be good for customers to be attracted to it.
Mhm.
Then being able to sell them on the health benefit.
Right?
Um, now, when you buy your fish or meat, your chicken, you can freeze it and it'll last a while. What's the refrigerator life of, does it even have to be refrigerated? I guess maybe that's the first question. Does it have to be refrigerated? And what's the life that you can keep it in the refrigerator or frozen?
Yeah. So most of our products from production date have a 12 to 14-month frozen shelf life. So we freeze all our products.
Mm-hmm.
And that you may buy it in the store already defrosted. Some of the retail locations will thaw it out and put it out on the shelf, and then it'll generally have a shelf life, depending on the product,
Right,
from
right, right.
10 to 20 plus days. So
Okay.
the shelf life on these products, refrigerated, are generally longer than most animal-based proteins that would be
Mm-hmm.
refrigerated.
Mm-hmm.
And the same on the frozen end of it all.
Wow. So that's pretty good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. I mean, overall, it looks like your product is going to make people healthier.
Hmm.
Um, and the cost maybe is the same, but sometimes health isn't always cheap, right? We go
Yeah.
out to the store and we want to buy organic food, and that's what, 30 years ago everything was organic. Now we have to pay extra for it.
Right. Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and
that's true, but because of the nature of industry, the food industry as a whole, and agriculture, whether it's animal agriculture or just plant-based agriculture, with the use of antibiotics and fertilizers and chemicals and things like that, it became less expensive to do what they call conventional farming than it costs to do organic farming, which is
Mhm.
natural farming.
Right.
And that's why it's more expensive today for organic products, because well, it seems that way, right? Those products would still have been expensive, but it was relative to what was being made at the time because we didn't have conventional farming. Plus, it wasn't accessible either. Look, I remember growing up in the Midwest years ago, and I didn't know what an artichoke was or really an avocado, and those were all luxury things. And then
Yeah.
today you can get it all anywhere year round.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that has to do with the genetics of the plants or the animals themselves and what's been developed, genetically modified,
Hmm.
which isn't necessarily, it shouldn't be considered a bad word, depending on how they handled the product and when it was being modified and whether or not they were adding chemicals to it. So yeah, there's a lot of complexities behind the industry in that way, and we're a society in the U.S. We're certainly very complex in that way, and we are always looking for ways to do it faster and cheaper, and that's
Hmm.
not always better, right?
No. You know what? I do have to say that because, our vegetables and our fruits are genetically modified. When you walk into the market, like let's just say, like a regular market, not a your Whole Foods or your Trader Joe's kind of a market,
Yeah,
you see all the tomatoes look like perfectly round. They're all the same size. They're all beautiful.
yeah,
Now, if you travel to Europe where they don't do that to the vegetables, you have everything looks different. You have weird looking ones, you have bigger ones, you have smaller ones, kind of like in the old days, I guess. That's the
sure.
way it used to be. They don't all look pretty, but they're a little bit more natural, right? More organic, like pure organic. No
Yeah,
engineering on those vegetables there.
right. And most of those countries in various parts of the world don't have the same kind of health issues we have here as well, including
Right? Right.
the obesity and
Yeah.
just overall, cancer rates and things like that, because all of that is inclusive generally. You if you were living in Minnesota, in the northern part of Minnesota, in the middle of the winter, you probably wouldn't be able, 30, 40 years ago, you wouldn't be eating a banana, a fresh banana,
Mhm.
right? Today you do, and there's a reason for it. It's a
Yeah.
genetically modified product and gassed and all kinds of things to hold the shelf life and get it up there.
Yeah.
And so all of that affects us in different
Yeah.
ways in
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
people. And so again, yeah, the accessibility of food, even though we have these food deserts in some large cities, the accessibility is far beyond what it was, but that doesn't mean it's better.
Right. 100%. 100%. So as we wrap up our interview, what does the next 6 to 12 months look like? What's exciting in the horizon?
Well, we just released our what we call our veg burger, which is a traditional veggie burger, but most veggie burgers actually have either egg or cheese in it or both. And ours has a plant-based egg and a plant-based cheese. So it's a really cool product. I call it kind of the new wave veggie burger, and it's actually vegan. So that's a cool one because that's what our customers have been asking for. They like what we
Mm-hmm.
do, but they also want to see the vegetables again, right?
Right.
And then the full release of our butcher stick, both the teriyaki style and the pepperoni style, made with sunflower protein, which is a really unique and special protein. I'm really excited about that hitting the market, and I think once we get rolling into the later part of this year, you're going to see it all over the place, and it's going to be fun to be able to grab it. That, by the way, is shelf stable, so that doesn't need refrigeration or freezer. That will be on the shelf with a 12-month shelf life from production. Grab and go on the way out of your grocery store or CVS or wherever you buy those types.
Right. Wow. Amazing. Amazing, Danny. Thanks so much for sharing all of this and your products and how they can benefit everybody. Now, if somebody is listening and would like to get a hold of you to learn more or just talk to you about it, where can they get a hold of you at?
Just go to beforethebutcher.com and you can find out all about what we're doing and see places where you can pick up our products. And you can actually reach out to us directly through the site as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And to our audience, please go to ocpowerplayers.com and follow us on your favorite channel. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.